What's good? What's good, everybody? It's the morning chat. It's AKJ. I am here this morning. I'm excited to be alive this morning. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm excited to be alive still. So if you're not excited to be alive, that's on you. But it's me. I'm excited about being alive this morning. That's just where I am with the whole situation this morning, and that's what we're gonna do this morning. So, real spill. Let's get ready to do this. It's the morning chat. Y'all already know what it's about to be. Y'all know how it's gonna be. You do your due diligence right quick to like it, share it, do whatever you do with it, whenever you do with it, what you do with it, you know, until we can make things shake. So, yeah, it's the morning chat, everybody, and we getting ready to jump into it. That's how we gonna do it. We're gonna do it real quick. We're gonna do a real quick like, and we're gonna be on out of our business. So that's what we're gonna do on this morning. So again, thank you so much for everybody that will tune in, that are tuning in, that kind of situation. We're doing what we can do while we can do it, and that's just what we gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Again, it's that guy Jay here, and it's the morning chats, and we are officially live. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. That's exactly where we are right now, and you already know how I do it. We're gonna get ready to get into it. Jump into the chats this morning. And that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna jump into it. We're gonna jump out. I'm telling you, what do you do, Punchinella? We're gonna dive into it and we're gonna dive out this thing. That's what we're gonna do. So that's how we're gonna do it. Like, so y'all already know how the rules of engagement go. If you can, if you will, you jump in this thing. I'm like, yeah, good morning, what's sham? How you doing this morning? You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel about it. So, for those of you who have never been on this, this is nothing more than just a simple chat. It's nothing to scare you, nothing to sway you, nothing to make you do some weird stuff. It's just something. We just need to have a talk in the morning sometimes. Sometimes you just need to get through your day with a talk. You know what I'm saying? That's just what we're going to do this morning. So in this particular case, y'all already know what it is. For those of you who have been on, you know it's 1 minute. I only give you a minute. So if you want to get some people into the chat this morning, you let me know. Go ahead. You got 1 minute to get them in the chat. You got 1 minute to invite, like, share, and send them on in this way. And I promise you, you're not going to be disappointed this morning. It's going to be good. And I'm going to be out your way real short. Like, ain't gonna take me long to do this one this morning. It's not. I promise you not. So good. You got 1 minute. It's on the countdown. Let's get it happening. Let's get it popping, and let's make it happen. So, got a little minute. Just a minute. You know, we studying. You know, study one or more. You know, that kind of situation. Good morning, Manny Anderson. What's up, great doctor Tanisha? I'm so glad to see you on this morning. Of course, you know that's how it is. Kim knows what you say. I'm with it this morning, y'all. I'm with it. I'm with all the drama this morning. So we got 33 seconds and we're going to do it. So like it, share it, go ahead, send some people in here. Tag them by name. That's what you do. Don't just share it on there. Tag them by name and tell them, come here it is. Because this is going to be something that's going to be dope this morning. And you already know. Again, I told y'all, I know my voice is not assigned to everybody in this season. So I'm not worried about numbers. Because who going to come is going to come. Who going to see. And who going to share it. That's just what it is. So I'm going to give y'all a minute to do what y'all going to do, right? So that's what we're going to do this morning, and I'm excited still, nonetheless, and we are out. Like, that's all I need this morning. That's all I really needed this morning, 1 minute, and we're going to dive into the chat. So if you know the morning chat, you already know if you check out the hashtag on the title, the second hashtag normally tells you what we're going to talk about this morning, and so I got a question. I have a question, as I do every morning. We're going to start off with a question, and simply the question is, why have we just become so familiar and so comfortable, shall I say, with what we find familiar? We've become real comfortable with what we find familiar. And I gotta ask the question, why are we so comfortable not moving out of a comfort zone? Like, and I know it's a comfort zone, but like you ought to have it in your mind by now that the comfort zone normally is a very tough zone to be in now. The familiar places in your life are normally some of the most hurtful places in your life, and a lot of people going to disagree with me on this one, but I'm not here to argue. I'm here to state facts. Let's talk about it for real. Familiar places of where we are, familiar places of who you are, familiar places of where you've been, and the most comfortable places in your life, honestly, are where you experience the most hurt. And a lot of people, you may disagree with me. You may not have had the experiences that I've had, but I got news for you. It's not too many strangers that have come into my life and then caused the havoc that the familiar people, the familiar places, the familiar surroundings have caused. I'm going to just be real with you. It's not too many people that'll walk in your life off the street, and not too many people that'll just be introduced to you that can cause all the havoc that you've experienced in this life. So it makes me ask the question, why we've become so comfortable in what is familiar to us. And it's the most craziest psychosis ever, because we won't move outside of our comfort zone to save anybody's life. Listen, I already know how it goes. We don't move outside of our comfort zone for anybody. We don't move outside of our comfort zone because we call it the scary place, the place on the outskirts of where we know of notoriety, you know, those kind of places. And it's the craziest thing ever in my life, because again, I'll say it again, the familiar places are the places in my life that I've experienced the most hunt. Good morning, Miss Cannon. Good morning. The familiar places in my life are the very places that I experienced the most disappointment. The friends that let me down are always from the familiar places. The people that were supporting me and decided not to support me, or the people that support me the least, are those who are the most familiar with me. The people that are so, like, literally, like, it's the craziest thing ever. So I asked the question again, is that why are we so comfortable with what's familiar? And today I just want to simply talk about unfamiliar sources. Unfamiliar sources. Now, this is the craziest thing ever. One of my favorite stories in the Bible, J. Renee, J. Flo, good morning. What's up, man? So listen, this is the thing. One of my favorite places and one of my favorite stories in the Bible it's actually like when Moses was leading the children of Israel through the wilderness, and now they're complaining. They're talking about they're thirsty and all this. And God gave Moses the command to speak to the rock, and water would flow out of the rock. Now, because it's an unfamiliar place, let's just be honest with you, Moses wasn't really, God has shown himself like very, very strong in his life all these other times and all these things. Rain, manna from heaven, pillar of fire by day, cloud, pillar of smoke by night, those kind of things. We've done that. We've read the Bible. So if you went to Bible school, you know that. The idea behind it is that he was so frustrated with the people, the familiar people that were around him, that he didn't really understand that he was getting ready to get water out of an unfamiliar source. And it was getting ready to come out of a rock, because normally in order for water to flow, it has to be from a source point. It has to be from a bigger body of water that it flows downward. Like if anybody knows anything about a stream, it flows from a bigger body of water. It may start off from a river, and it breaks off, and it makes its own path, but it becomes a smaller body. And that's normally where you get a flow of water from. So out of the clear desert, you want water to come from a rock, and it's an unfamiliar source. So being frustrated with the people that were around him, the familiar people, the people that have been complaining, the people that have been the most headache of all that he's gone through, he smites the rock. It did not disqualify the promise that water was going to come from it, but it also caused him to lose what he had been working so hard to gain. And this is what I'm telling you about unfamiliar sources today. Like, you cannot be so afraid of the unknown source that is going to supply you with your next level for your next place, that you're going to stay in a place of contentment in a familiar place that has frustrated you and given you the most of your headaches. And that's the truth of the matter. A lot of people in our lives, let's just talk about it. Let's be real candid about it. A lot of friends, a lot of family, a lot of the familiar people, a lot of our coworkers, our careers, our schooling, everything that we have around us that creates this place called comfort is normally the very same places that create the most havoc in our lives. Because truth of the matter is, your enemies are not the ones that have come and taken all of your personal secrets and spread them out across the land. That's not going to happen like that. It's not the people that are prospectively looking at you for the job that are frustrating you on your job right now. That's just not going to happen. It doesn't happen that way. The unfamiliar source is normally the source that we pay attention to the least, because we don't want to know what's over there. We're scared to go in that particular place, and we don't want to even swing to make our minds change of where we already been. So the thing is that you have to be real comfortable, or get to the place where you have to become comfortable with unfamiliar sources. Because truth of the matter is, if I was just to be real candid, CJ, Kevin, what's good? Crystal, Scott, and Marlo, what's good? So the idea behind it, check this out. This is the places that If you are a business owner in 2020, even though 2020 was all the great things that we done made 2020 out to be, truth of the matter is you got to remember that your inner circle probably is the last people that's going to support you. And that sounds terrible. It sounds horrible, but it's the truth. The people that are closest to you are normally the last people that are going to support you. So if you don't believe me, it's always the same people that ask you for a business card. Now, you've given them 5 business cards and you have not gotten one particular prospective sale from that person. But every time they see, yeah, I got you. Because they're familiar, you are in expectation that what's familiar is going to produce a new result. But the definition of insanity is to expect different results with the same practices. So the thing is that how can you be ready to move to another level when you're only comfortable being in a familiar place? The truth of the matter is you'll never understand what uncharted territory could produce if you don't move out of your place of familiarity. And then you want me to be real plain this morning. Familiarity normally breeds contempt. People that are the most familiar with you are the ones that frustrate you the most. People that are the most familiar with you are normally the ones that respect you the least. The people that are familiar with you always look at you as, that's just them. You know what I'm saying? Even though you're trying to make power moves, that's just them. That's Miss Ambitious. That's Mr. I can do it. No, and they never will respect you getting out of your comfort zone because they're familiar with you. So this unfamiliar sources, you got to be really willing to dive into places that are unfamiliar in order for you to get the greatness out of life. For instance, for those, again, business owners, if you do not ever promote to a stranger, you don't know what potential you have to have greatness come above your name. The idea behind it is, everybody that knows your business, you know them already. You already know. They know that you do this. They know that you sell that. They know that you have this. They know what you are pushing and prodding and promoting. And they're not supporting because they choose not to support. Now, the thing about it is, by you only marketing to those people that are familiar to you, those are the people that are not supporting. You're wasting time and energy, and now you're discouraging yourself because you refuse to get out of a place of familiarity. The unfamiliar sources are people that you've never even introduced yourself to, but they love product. The idea behind it is that you don't market, you market to those unfamiliar people, and you find out that your support levels are going up. You find out that people are beginning to support your business. They're beginning to not only purchase your merchandise, but now you're almost at the point to where you're over capacity because you can't keep up with the demand of the new influx, and you wonder and sit back all your life trying to figure out, why did it take me this long to finally step out of because you got from an unfamiliar place. It's all about these familiar places. You got from the familiar places. And now the people that are in the familiar places are looking at you, and listen, this is the craziest thing ever. You never support me, but when I begin to move without you, you got the nerves enough to be mad. What you mad for? You ain't putting out $1 in my pocket. You didn't put out one moment of support behind my name. And now that I'm doing it without you, the familiar people are the most upset. Oh my goodness, like that's just what came down to. The truth of the matter is, have you ever been on your job and you've been pushing and prodding trying to get promoted? You've been moving your own time. You do what you're supposed to do. You're one of the best that do what you do at your particular position, and the supervisor continuously looks over you for every promotion. Okay, cool. Look over you, overlook, promotion comes up. Well, they say stuff like, well, you know what, we're going to give it another few months and then we'll check out again. Or they say something like, you're overqualified. Or they'll look at you and say, I don't think it would have fit you quite right. And everybody they're putting in positions over you are generally people that don't deserve those type of positions. And the reason they don't is because it's normally a kinfolk deal, a relationship situation that put them in the position. But the very minute that they found out you putting a 2 weeks notice in because you got another job from another place that saw your potential, that looked at your resume and said you're perfect. Now, not only are you not overqualified, you're exactly qualified for what we need you to do, and we're going to give you more money to do it. Now everybody on your job, including the supervisors, looking at you with the stank face, and now they got to try to tarnish your name at all costs. It's because the familiar places always will breed contempt in your life, and unfamiliar sources places are normally the places that will give you the best return out of everything that you want. And it's a gamble, it's an investment, just like any other thing, because you never know what the unfamiliar place is going to breed. But I tell you what, you do know what the familiar places are already returning to you. You do know that they are already not supporting you in your familiar places. You do know that already. You do know that they're not already giving their all behind you in the familiar places. So let me ask the question again. Why have we become so comfortable in our familiar places instead of diving and trying to find out what the unfamiliar has to offer? Because unfamiliar sources are normally what's going to push you to your next level of destiny. Generally, like the people again that are familiar to you are most likely the ones that are supporting you the least. And that's just the truth of the matter. We won't listen to those unfamiliar sources. Like we won't listen, that I don't know her. I don't, we got that kind of, I don't, give people the stink face. Like, I don't know that. I don't know him. Like, where he come from? Who he think he is? And the truth of the matter is that we're so stuck in our comfort zones that we won't even admit that the people that are giving those kind of informational pieces are absolutely correct on us. They know that they see something else, and they try to figure out how you know what you know, where you know what you know, and and it had nothing to do with anybody familiar. So let me ask the question again on this morning chat. I need somebody to comment for me. Let me find out that you understand where I'm coming from. The familiar places in your life are normally the ones, again, that cause you the most heartache. The familiar people in your life are normally the ones that will betray you the quickest. Like the familiar places in your life are normally the ones where the most agony, the most pain, the most grief, and all of these negative things have actually come from. So why not, or why be afraid to jump into the unfamiliar? Like why be afraid to leap out into the open, leap out into the deep, leap out into the unknown? Because sometimes, again, most of the time, the unknown will yield you a result that the familiar has never yielded. And that's just what it comes down to. That's just the morning chat this morning. So what about these unfamiliar sources? What is it about the unfamiliar source that has you so afraid? Because again, you already know what the familiar has produced. The familiarity, like the familiar people, the familiar places, the familiar things, haven't produced you the result that you're looking for. So let's talk. Let's simply have a good chat about it. Why are you so comfortable being in the familiar when you know that the familiar is really what's killing you? And it's all from a familiar place. And that's the craziest thing in the world. People only, it's familiarity. The unfamiliar sources are normally the sources that are going to take you to your next level of destiny. The question that I have for you is, are you willing to dive into the unfamiliar sources? Are you willing to dive into the places that are uncomfortable for you? Are you willing to step out into the dark and knowing that your footsteps are already ordered? How about that one? Just in case somebody forgot that my footsteps are already ordered by the, that kind of situation. Why stay in a familiar place when familiarity is killing you? It's the morning chat, y'all. It's the morning chat. So y'all talk to me this morning. That's just what it is. How many of us can honestly say that we've been in a familiar place too long? Unfamiliar sources. Again, just because it doesn't look like it's going to produce something, just because it doesn't fit the mold of what you're used to, does not mean that it won't produce a greater result. And that's just what it comes down to. The unfamiliar sources in my life have honestly produced so much more than anything familiar I can even imagine, that I can ever remember. The unfamiliar places in my life have yielded some of the greatest return, greatest promises, greatest benefits, and a lot of people don't even see it like that. That's the truth of the matter. The people that are familiar to you will hate you when unfamiliar sources produce what they have not been producing. And the truth of the matter is, I'm not apt in this season of life to hang around the unfamiliar source just because of relationship, just because you feel comfortable in me being in this particular place. And that's just, it's time to launch out into the deep. Dr. Hill, what you say? It's time to launch into the deep. It's time to move to the unfamiliar places. It's funny to me that that for years we were going to the same fishing spots. We were going to the same places down by the levee, down by the river, we were going to the same spots. And the crazy part, in going to the same spots, we were getting the same amount of fish. We never decided to change the spot that we were, but the moment we decided that we were going to change where we were going, the moment we decided that we were going to switch up what we were doing, the moment that we decided to switch the entire narrative, we ran up on some greater fish. It's the morning chat, y'all. That's just what it is. This is just what it is, you know? So again, this is dope. This is the morning chat for y'all this morning. Y'all do know that it's the moment. It's the time that we do what we do best. And yeah. It's time to encourage somebody. So again, the encouragement that you leave for somebody else on today. As a matter of fact, we got some issues. Miss Bev, what's good with it? What's good with it? So check it out, y'all. So this is what I'm gonna do this morning. We're going to I'm gonna cut it short this morning. I'm looking at some real funny stuff going on with my servers this morning, and I'm quite perturbed by it, but it is what it is. So do me a favor today, on today. This is my challenge to you. If I don't tell you anything else, get yourself together and encourage yourself. Be ready to step out into the unfamiliar place and encourage someone today. The encouragement that you give to somebody today could stop them from committing suicide. It could be the best thing that they've heard today, this week, this month, or even this year. And that one word of encouragement can definitely bring them out of the darkest places in their life and give them the strength to move on. It is definitely the morning chat this morning. And it is what it is, how it is. Thank y'all so much for tuning in this morning. I will catch you guys on the next chat.